The protagonist is the most common tool used in storytelling. They are the character the story revolves around, who learns lessons as their story progresses that can teach us about ourselves. For example, there's Harry Potter from Harry Potter, Frodo Baggins from Lord of the Rings, and Luke Skywalker from Star Wars. Your protagonist can make or break your story. No one likes following a character who's perfect in every way, Rey Skywalker, or one who doesn't have an arc or learn anything. So you may be wondering, how do I make a good protagonist? Before we learn that, we'll need to get a better grasp on the protagonist, so let's see how it was made and how it was used throughout the years. The word protagonist comes from the Greek word protagonistis. The first protagonist in a story, similar to our modern version of the storytelling tool, was in ancient Greece. At the time, characters in plays didn't go around speaking to each other out loud like they do now, but they would only be speaking dialogue in unison. Dialogue being spoken out in unison was called recitation by the chorus. It was the most popular and really the only technique used in ancient Greek plays to have the characters talk to each other and the audience. It wasn't until 536 BC when the Greek poet Thespis, known as the father of tragedy, had an idea. What if one particular character in the cast was to step out and talk to the chorus? This is called tragedy, thus his name, Father of Tragedy. Others expanded on this idea. The poet and playwright Aeschylus prompted the use of a second character, and these two characters would exchange dialogue throughout the play. Then the tragedian, Sophocles, created a third character, and these ideas worked. Aeschylus and Sophocles won many awards for their plays using three important characters saying different things to each other, rather than the traditional chorus of actors all saying the same thing. Now, before you go off making a protagonist with just the knowledge that they talk to other characters, let's look at the types of protagonists, as there are lots of them. How many is lots, you ask? 4. So, let's go over them, shall we? Hero protagonists. The hero protagonist is your textbook superhero from the golden age of comics. I'm talking Superman-esque heroes who use their wide variety of strengths in overcoming the problem at hand. They make sacrifices and have a few flaws that get resolved at the end of the story. Anti-hero protagonist. The anti-hero protagonist is someone like Deadpool, who is a hero that uses very dark methods to reach his end goal. Anti-heroes aren't entirely bad, but they are definitely not wholly good. Whereas the average hero will save the kids before going for the villain, the anti-hero goes straight for the villain and leaves the kids behind. Villain protagonists. The villain protagonist is where the main character of a story is also the villain. For example, Joker in Joker. Villain protagonists and villains have 3 key differences between them: which one drives the story forward, if the audience is rooting for them, and if they are the main focus of the story. And lastly, the supporting protagonist. The supporting protagonist is the one protagonist who breaks the rule of being the main focus of the story. A supporting protagonist would be Miranda from the movie Wonder. In Wonder, several characters have their own view of the story shown to the viewer, and Miranda is one of these side characters. Miranda is not the main protagonist of the story, that is Augie. She is a supporting protagonist. Now we've reached the reason that you've clicked on this video: how you can make a great protagonist yourself. The answer is practice. Okay, I'm joking, don't click off the video. Or am I? See, there are loads of things I could tell you make a protagonist great. Give them depth. Don't make them passive. Make them likeable. Give them an internal struggle. But really, the best way for you to make a great protagonist is practicing making protagonists yourself. Try out different things, different combinations, experiment. It was an unwritten law not to kill off your main protagonist until the story is somewhat resolved, but Game of Thrones did it. Your protagonist must be likeable. Toy Story broke that rule. Story writing is more than just following pre-established rules, it's taking these rules into consideration and breaking them to make better, more interesting stories. You can follow these rules, most stories do, that's why they're there, but it's fun to try and break them. But let's go over the advice so many people give. Flaws. Give your character a flaw. You don't want to end up like Rey Skywalker from Star Wars. This makes them relatable and enjoyable to watch grow. Make them selfish or arrogant or overconfident. But remember, you also have to make them likable. No one wants to follow an absolutely detestable character. Even Woody wasn't all bad. He had a few redeeming traits, such as an internal struggle. Have your characters have an intense phobia of something they have to overcome. Like Ron Weasley had a fear of spiders for 2 pages when they have to follow the spiders in Chamber of Secrets. But to spice things up, have an external struggle. Really, the whole plot is the external struggle, but make the external struggle have meaning. If they don't achieve what they want, what do they lose? For that, they'll need history. Even if you don't show it all to the reader in the book, give the characters some history. This makes it much more enjoyable to watch their arc. Pretty much every character has an arc, and if they don't, there's a term for it: static. And the opposite of static, active. Make your protagonists do something. If Frodo Baggins was given the ring and then did nothing, that would kinda suck, wouldn't it? Thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. I'm kind of experimenting with this type of video, so leave a like to show me if I should keep making these types of videos. As always, I'm Sketchy, you're amazing, and I'll see you later. Good luck writing.